Yo, what's up guys, hope you guys are doing good. So today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was raised by a god and learns God Slayer magic, movie 1. So before we start please subscribe to our channel and like this video. So let's get into the video. Magic Meho, it is the physical embodiment of the spirit. When the physical spirit of an organism connects with the spiritual flow of nature, the spirit forms magic. As a product of the connection, the particles of magic are also called Eternano. Only 10% of the world's population is able to use magic, which is noted to keep a balance between ordinary people and those with magic. It takes an enormous amount of concentration and mental ability to use magic, and those that are capable of using magic are called mages Madashi, or wizards. Mages reside all over the world of Earth land Asurando, and these mages come together to form what are known as Guilds Gerudo, to learn more about magic and gain bonds of camaraderie, as well as to take jobs to support themselves. These jobs range from as simple as delivering a package to as hard as killing huge monsters. Guilds are found all over Earthland, but the highest concentration of magic guilds are found in the kingdom of Fioria Koku, a permanently neutral nation with a population of 17 million, which is home to many famous guilds. But it is one particular guild in this country which has produced many legends and will continue to do so for years to come. This guild's name is Fairy Teru. It was founded in X686 by a group of 4 people, 3 young men and 1 teenage girl. The 3 men were named Purahito Geblog, Warad Sequin, and Yuri Dreyer. These men were originally treasure hunters until they ran into the 4th founder of Fairy Tail in that same year. The teenage girl's name was Mavis Vermilion and she was the first master of Fairy Tail. Mavis Vermilion was a 13-year-old girl who had grown up pretty much alone on Tenru Island. She had very long, wavy blonde hair which went down to her feet, with one lock pointing straight upwards, large green eyes with no irises, and a childlike build. She wore a frilly pink layered robe with a red ribbon tied in a bow around her neck. Around the chest area were 3 blue diamond patterns with 2 blue triangles above. Each series of these was outlined in a hot pink. She wore wing-like adornments around her ears and small hoop earrings. She also seemed to prefer going barefoot. Mavis was only guild master for 10 years. At age 23 she passed away from a heart defect, never having fulfilled her dream of meeting fairies. However, during her time as the first master of Fairy Tail, she oversaw the creation of 3 incredible spells, which would come to be known, and the 3 legendary Fairy Magics Yase Meho, Fairy Law Fury Ro, Fairy Glitter Fury Garita, and Fairy Sphere Fury Sufia. Before she passed away she handed the title of master over to her fellow founder and friend Purahito Geblog, making him the 2nd master of Fairy Tail. She was buried on Tenru Island and the place was made a holy ground for the guild. Purahito was a young man of average height with slick-back brown hair and wore a high-collared black jacket with huge shoulder pads, all with blue-green accents, and a blue-green cape attached, black pants, and combat boots. Originally he had use of both of his eyes, but after an encounter with a dark guild that controlled Magnolia he lost his right eye and took to wearing an eye patch over that eye. In his older years he was tall, his hair had grown long and became silver white but remained slicked back. His outfit changed somewhat to sport a light cape bearing Fairy Tail's mark on the back, complete with a dark fur-lined mantle and what looked like a loose rope below it. He also carried around a long staff with its top shaped yet again like Fairy Tail's symbol, and he grew a long white beard. Purahito was master of Fairy Tail for at least 30 years. He oversaw the first increase in the guild's numbers as well as its popularity. When he was ready to retire he handed the reins over to a man of 40 named Makarov. Warad Sequin was a tall and very well-built man. His head, somewhat rectangular in shape, was covered with messy black hair on its top. Warad dressed himself in a sleeveless top with green accents, with a belt and trousers, as well as combat boots. Warad used a special kind of magic called Green Magic Midori no Meho. Not much is known about what happened to Warad in his later years. However, what is known is that he became a member of the 10 Wizard Saints, a group of 10 of the most powerful mages in all of Fiori. Yuri Dreyer was a tall young man in his late teens, nearing his early 20s, with spiky blonde hair and dark eyes. He donned a dark-colored shirt, a jacket, and long pants, and combat boots. Yuri would be most famous for being the father of the 3rd master of Fairy Tail, Makarov Dreyer. Upon his son turning 18 he disappeared and no one knows his current whereabouts or status. Makarov Dreyer, the 3rd master of Fairy Tail, was born in X696 to Yuri Dreyer and his wife. In his youth Makarov was a man of below average height and had inherited his father's spiky blonde hair, though his own stuck straight up. His attitude, as a young man, was rather impatient and he never hesitated to start fights with his fellow guild mates. Makarov became an S-class mage, the highest class of mage there is, of the guild at 20. He gained the nickname the Titan due to his unique magic called Titan Magicga Anto Meho, which allows him to grow to enormous proportions. Makarov was a member of a team of 6 including himself, called Team Makarov, and was close with each member, especially the only female member of the team Purusuka, who was 15 years his junior. Makarov was made 3rd master of Fairy Tail by Purohito in X736, at the age of 40. In X741 he was named as a member of the 10 Wizard Saints Seton D'Amato. Makarov himself had children, 2 sons by 2 women. The first was born to Makarov and his wife and was given the name Ivan, who unlike the rest of his family was born with black hair. Ivan grew up to be powerful in his own right, however he always had a darker nature than the rest of his family. Makarov's wife died when Ivan was 2 years old. The second was born to Makarov and Purusuka, who had been there to comfort the guild master when his wife died, causing them to grow even closer. The boy was named Manado, and he, like his father, inherited the Dreyer family's spiky blonde hair. Manado himself grew up to be powerful, some would say even more so than his brother and father. Ivan Dreyer is a tall, muscular man, standing at about 6'5", and weighing a good 250 pounds. He has black hair which like the rest of his family's is spiky, but only on top of his head, and it's short. He does not bear any resemblance to his father or brother. Ivan uses Shikigami Magic Shikigami Meiho primarily, which gives him the ability to turn objects into paper dolls. In X761, Ivan and his wife had a son whom they named Laxus, and the child inherited the Dreyer family looks, including the spiky blonde hair. Manado Dreyer is tall himself, though shorter than his brother, standing at 6'1" and weighing 165 pounds, with a lean, athletic build, made more for speed. He, like every male in his family, except his brother, has spiky blonde hair, with 2 jaw-length bangs framing his face. Unlike the rest of his family though, he has bright blue eyes, which according to his mother was a recessive gene passed down by her, as her own father had blue eyes. Manado became an S-class mage, under his father's leadership, at the age of 16. At the time he was the youngest person ever to become S-class. Manado earned the name Fairy Tail's Yellow Flash due to his use of a combination teleportation Magic Shunken, no Meiho and Seal Magic Shirumeho, which is so fast that all anyone can see before they're taken down is a flash of yellow light. The name of the spell that earned him this name is called Hiraishin Flying Thunder God. He also is noted for his use of Windk's Meiho and Lightning Magic Kaminari K Kakusha Meiho, and his basic knowledge of Fire Hai no Mahu, Earth Tsuchi Meiho, and Water Magic Mizuke Kakusha Meiho. He also created a magic which allowed him to form pure Eternano into any shape he wished. He named it Energy Make Magic and Arubi Maiku Meiho. When he was only 13 years old, Manado met and fell in love with a girl who would eventually become his wife. That girl's name was Kushina Uzumaki. Kushina Uzumaki joined Fairy Tail at 13 years old after her home on the island nation of Land of Whirlpools was destroyed and her friends and family all killed. When she first met her guildmate she proclaimed loudly that she would be the 4th master of Fairy Tail and the 2nd female master after Mavis. This caused most to laugh, except Manado, who smiled at her and told her his dream was to take over for his father and become 4th master himself. As Kushina grew up, she grew more and more beautiful. Kushina, as an adult, is a woman who stands at 5'4", with a slender yet feminine build, fair skin, violet eyes, and fiery red hair which falls down to her shapely ass, and 2 strands that frame both sides of her face. She wears a black hair clip in her hair, parting it on the left to keep it out of her eyes. Kushina made the S-class at the age of 19 and became known in the guild as the red hot-blooded habanero due to her temper. Around Fiori however she became known as Fairy Tail's Queen of Blades due to her use of a special kind of requip Magic Kanso Meiho called Blades Magic Aba Meiho, which allowed her to only call on different kinds of swords. She was also a master of seal magic, Chain Magic Rensa Meiho, and Rune Magic Rune Meiho, and slightly proficient with water magic and wind magic. Eventually Manado and Kushina began to date when they were 17 after he saved her during a mission to take out a dark guild. She was knocked unconscious by one of the members and kidnapped to be sold as a sex slave. Manado found her by following her red hair, defeated the kidnapper, and took her back to the guild bridal style in his arms. At the time he said he found her because of the trail she left with her hair and that he noticed it right away because he'd always found her red hair to be beautiful. It was at that moment she fell in love with the master's second born. At 21 both Manado and Kushina were named to the 10 Wizard Saints, which was a proud moment for Makarov. However, he was even prouder when a year later Manado and Kushina married and the young redhead became his actual daughter. At 23 Manado and Kushina left the guild and took a leave of absence from the Wizard Saints due to Kushina falling pregnant with their first child. This happened about a year after the birth of Ivan's son Laxus. Makarov was just happy, as could be, that he was going to be a grandfather again, and the entire guild congratulated the young couple. However, there was one member of the guild who did not share the rest of the guild's enthusiasm, and that was Ivan. As Ivan saw it, the pregnancy of his sister-in-law and impending fatherhood of his little brother was just another way for the brat to show him up. Ivan had developed a deep-seated hatred for his baby brother because of all his accomplishments and all the praise he received, things that he felt should have been his, as the older brother. So Ivan sat back and plotted to gain his revenge against Manado through their children someday. And so it was that Manado and Kushina moved to a town located on the border between Fiori and the woodland country of Bosco. The town they moved to was called Konoha. Konoha was a small town with a population of only around 2,000, and of those 2,000 people, around 300 were mages. Konoha's leader is Hiruzen Sarutobi, a former wizard saint called the Professor for his extensive knowledge of magic and good friend to Makarov, who welcomed the young couple with open arms. Hiruzen Sarutobi was an old man, 2 years older than Makarov. At 68, he was short, but not as much as Makarov, still being over 5 feet tall, with spiky white hair that in his youth was brown, and a grey goatee. While he was famed for being a powerful mage himself and a wizard saint once, he was most famous for training 3 of the greatest mages alive today: Jiraiya, Tsunade Senju, and Orochimaru Hibi. Jiraiya is a man in his early 40s with long, spiky white hair that's tied into a ponytail at the back that goes to his thighs. He is tall at 6'4" and pretty muscular at 240 pounds. Jiraiya is known as the Toad Sage. He is a master of Runirun Meiho, Ecrituri Akurituru, Seal, Fire, Earth, and Toad Magic Hikagiru Meiho, and it is for the last that he has his title. Jiraiya is an author and a spy master running the Rune Knight spy unit. He is also a massive pervert, and the first time he met Kushina nearly lost his balls for making a perverted comment about her breasts. Tsunade Senju is a fair-skinned woman in her early 40s but looks 20s, with long blonde hair tied into 2 loose ponytails. She is 5'3" and has very large breasts. She is regarded as one of the most beautiful women in all of Earthland. She is also the granddaughter of one of the mages who founded Konoha, Hashirama Senju, who himself was said to be godlike. Tsunade is known as both the legendary sucker for her gambling habits and the world's greatest doctor for her healing magic Chiyumeho. She is an expert in fire, earth, lightning, and water magics, and a master of healing and slug magic Namakuji Meho. Her healing prowess is so great that she is capable of healing wounds that most other doctors would say are untreatable. She used to head the medical unit of the Rune Knights, but she quit after the death of her lover Dan Kato, which she was unable to stop, and now wanders the world with her apprentice and Dan's niece Shizune Kato. Orochimaru Hibi is a pale-skinned man in his 40s with long, straight black hair. He has slitted golden eyes with purple markings around the sockets and elongated teeth, which makes him look like a snake. He's average height, only 5'8", and weighs 145 pounds. He is called the Mad Scientist because of his thirst for knowledge of every single spell in the world and the unethical experiments he engaged in as a member of the Rune Knights. Orochimaru is adept at all elemental magic Csra Meiho. He is an expert in seal and rune magics, and he has been accredited with creating what is known as Curse Seal magic Noroi Shiru Meiho. He is also a master of snake magic Hibi no Meijo. He was once the head of the Bureau of Magical Development, however he was caught doing unethical experiments on children and young adults in an effort to attain immortality and was jazzed out by the Rune Knights and replaced by a man named Brain. He has been said to have become a dark mage Yami Madashi and founded the new dark guild Yami Jirudo called Hidden Sound Atagaker. However, no one has been able to substantiate these rumors. The Dreyers lived peacefully in Konoha, made many friends, including with the heads of 4 branches of the Rune Knights, those being Shikaku Nara, head of the intelligence unit, Inoichi Yamanaka, head of the interrogation unit, Choza Akimichi, head of the combat unit, and Hiyashi Hyuga, head of the tracking unit, and their wives. Also during Kushina's pregnancy, Manado took on 3 teenagers as pseudo-students, teaching them how to better utilize their magic power and giving them pointers on their respective magics. Those 3 were named Kakashi Haddock, son of the infamous former wizard saint the White Fang Sakumo Haddock, Obito Uchiha, an outcast of Konoha's Uchiha clan, and Rin Nahara, who came from an offshoot of the Inyazuka clan of Konoha. Kakashi was the one closest to Manado of the 3 because Kakashi specialized in lightning magic, which was one of the blonde specialties. The boy adopted the Dreyers as parents and saw them as the mother and father he never had, as his mother died at his birth and his father committed suicide when he was 5. Then it happened, on October 10, 763, Kushina went into labor. It took 6 hours, but after much screaming, pushing, and breaking of Manado's hand, they finally had their child, and it was a son. The baby was born with a full head of the Dreyer blonde hair, though not yet spiky, and his father's bright blue eyes. However, the most unique feature of the child was the 3 whisker-like birthmarks on each of his cheeks, which made him look even more adorable in his mother's opinion. The day after the birth, Manado contacted his father to let him know he had another grandson, and the old man was ecstatic. When he asked what the boy's name was, Manado told him they named him Naruto Uzumaki Draer. The old man knew instantly that they had named him with the maelstrom meaning of that name, and told his son it was a strong name, and that he had no doubt that Naruto would be a powerful mage in the future, then said he'd be in Konoha in a couple of days. A few days later Makarov was as good as his word, however he brought along 2-year-old Laxus, as Ivan was away on an S-class job. The first time the little blonde saw his baby cousin he took to him right away and warmed both Manado and Makarov's hearts and filled them with hope that the two cousins would be closer than Manado and Ivan were. The whole time he was in Konoha, Makarov spoiled his new grandson and spent time drinking and talking about the old days with Sarutobi. When the man and Laxus left finally, everyone was in good spirits and Manado said that he and Kushina would be coming back to the guild 2 weeks after Naruto's first birthday and that they would stay in contact. And for that first year, everything was great, Naruto grew well and even made friends with the infant children of the Nara, Yamanaka, Akimichi, and even the Haruno, a civilian family. On his first birthday Naruto had a huge party with guests that included his father's students, old man Sarutobi, and his 2 boys, his sometimes babysitter Kurina Yuhi, his grandfather Makarov, and 3-year-old cousin Laxus, and especially his little friends his age. Shikamaru Nara, the son of Shikaku, and Yoshino Nara, who greatly resembled his own father and was just as lazy, is heir to the Nara clan. He has black hair which is actually tied into a little spiky high ponytail like most men in his family. The Nara clan are known throughout Earthland for 2 things. The first, and what makes them perfect to head the intelligence division of the Rune Knights, is that every member is a genius. The second is their unique brand of shadow magic Cage Meiho, which allows them to link their own shadows to those of other people and bind them, causing the other person to repeat every action that the Nara makes. Ino Yamanaka, the daughter of Inoichi, and his wife, heiress of the Yamanaka clan, who like her father has platinum blonde hair and blue-green eyes. The Yamanaka clan have headed the interrogation unit of the Rune Knights for 3 generations so far. The reason for this is their unique brand of mind magic Kokoro no Mahu. Toji Akimichi, the son of Choza and Chizuru, who has spiky brown hair and is quite the pudgy baby, is heir to the Akimichi clan. The Akimichi clan have headed the combat division of the Rune Knights for 3 generations, for 2 reasons. First is their above-average physical strength and durability granted to them by their large bulk, as the majority of Akimichi men can reach heights of up to 6'10" and weigh as much as 500 pounds. The second is their unique brand of Titan magic, which allows them to enlarge only parts of their bodies and not the whole body itself. Lastly is Sakura Haruno, daughter to Kizashi and Miyuki Haruno, who owns a clothing shop and inherited her pink hair color from her father while gaining her mother's jade green eyes. The Harunos own a clothing store in Konoha and have made a good living from it. Hiba Inyazuka, second and youngest child of the matriarch of the Inyazuka clan, Tsume, younger brother to the heiress of the clan Hana. He has wild spiky brown hair and brown eyes. He looks slightly feral because the Inyazuka clan use a special brand of animal magic Animarumeho called dog magic Inu no Mahu, which involves dogs. Shino Aburam, son of Shibi Aburam, and his wife, heir to the Aburam clan. Shino has bushy dark brown hair and dark eyes. His family is known to also use a special brand of animal magic called insect magic Mushi no Meho. Hinata Hyuga, the only daughter to Hiashi, and Hitam Hyuga, heiress to the Hyuga clan. Hinata is a pale-skinned little babe with short dark blue hair which she inherited from her mother and the wide eyes of her clan with a hint of lavender. The Hyuga clan are well known for 2 things, their palm magic Pamameho, which they use in conjunction with their special hand-to-hand style called Gentle Fist, and their unique brand of magic Mimeho known as Eye by Akugan, which allows them X-ray and telescoping vision, as well as giving them a 360-degree range of sight and the ability to see the magic systems of people. Its activation is denoted by the bulging of the veins around the Hyuga's eyes. Lastly is Sasuke Uchiha, the second son of Higaku, and Makoto Uchiha, the head of the Uchiha clan, and younger brother to the heir of the clan Itachi Uchiha. Sasuke is a baby with black eyes and chin-length black hair which is spiky in the back and looks like a duck's ass. The Uchiha clan are also known for 2 things, their mastery of fire magic and their own unique eye magic called Kapiwili Yai Sharingan, which is denoted by the iris becoming red in color, with any number of black tone markings from 1 to 3 around the pupil. The party was a huge success, with Naruto gaining many presents and all the children playing together and getting filthy, as children do. When it was all said and done, everyone headed back to their homes within the village as Makarov and Laxus returned to Magnolia, with the old man saying he looks forward to seeing them in 2 weeks. However, what no one knew is that tragedy would strike and the world would lose 2 great mages for nearly 10 years. While their son would go missing for 13 years. Order between Fiore and Bosco. Konoha, October 13th x 764, nighttime. It is a peaceful night in the town of Konoha just like any other. The weather is fair, and the people are going about their usual nightly routines, most shutting up shop to return home for the evening. Families are having dinner and settling in for a quiet and restful night, including the Dreyer family. However, that peace is not the last, as tonight is a night that will change the fates of everyone in Konoha, but especially that of Naruto Uzumaki Dreyer. The hour is close to 11 p.m, and Hiruzen Sarutobi sits in his office still, finishing going over all the paperwork associated with being the leader of Konoha. He looks out the window to his office and frowns. For a while now he has had a feeling of foreboding, however he cannot for the life of him figure out why. As he finishes the last piece of paperwork for the night, his foreboding feeling is proven correct when suddenly he and the rest of the town hear an incredibly loud roar from the sky. Hiruzen rushes out of his office to the roof and, as he looks up to find the source of the roar, and when he gazes at the night sky he sees it. In the air, quickly descending towards Konoha is a creature of legend, a dragon. From what he can see in the dark and at the distance it is from the town, the great beast is yellow in color and its body appears to be covered in lighting. The old man springs into action, flaring his magic, which has the effect of bringing to him every available mage in the town. Every one of them has grim, yet determined looks on their faces as Hiruzen addresses them. Listen up everyone, tonight may very well be the final night Konoha has, however I do not want you to despair, we shall fight to our dying breath to make sure the innocent get to safety. Now all mages ages 13 to 20, all of you gather up the civilians and get them to safety, do not under any circumstances come back here to fight the beast. Clan leaders, see to your families that it is more important than fighting a monster. The rest of you are with me, we'll show this beast why you don't mess with Konoha. They all roar in approval of this as they break off into three groups, one to gather the civilians made of young mages like Kakashi, Obito, and Rin. A second made of the clan heads who head to their homes to gather their wives and children. The last group launches themselves off the top of Hiruzen's office, heading right for the dragon, which has just landed in the center of town, crushing many shops and homes in the process. Sarutobi gathers his magic and slams his right hand on the ground calling out Monkey Magic. Monkey King. Enmasaru no Mahu. Inku. Enma, as a dark green magic seal appears, and out of the seal comes an old monkey whose body and tail is covered in white fur, which protrude from his sleeves and pants. He has long unkempt white hair that reaches to his back and long sideburns and a goatee. He wears a black suit with mesh armor underneath, over which he wears a sleeveless kimono shirt with white fur trimmings and markings reminiscent of tiger stripes on it, which is held closed by a red sash. This is when the king of the monkey summons Enma. The Monkey King looks around, quickly noticing the dragon, turns to his old friend and partners with a serious look. Let me guess, Konoha is under attack by that dragon, and like an old fool you're going to meet it head on. I take it you summoned me to fight alongside you? Sarutobi nods at this, as he continues, fine, then if we die at least we die together. Transformation magic. Adamantine staff Henshin Meiho. Kongoni, as a glowing yellow magic circle appears beneath him, and quickly he takes on the form of large long black bow staff, with caps at each end, and is, as hard, as diamond. Hiruzen takes hold of his transformed partner before joining the others already fighting, and being beaten back by the dragon. As he gets within range of the enormous beast, he thrusts the staff forward, causing it to extend, and hits the beast square in the chest, which dents its scales in that area, as well as pushes it back, so that it is now outside of the walls of Konoha. Bringing the staff back to regular length, he rushes outside the walls to continue the fight, with others following him. The dragon meanwhile is shocked that a human weapon was able to harm him, and even push him back, as no human-made weapon should be able to do that. What's more is he sensed both magic and life from the staff, which he quickly deduces means that the weapon must be one of those deplorable summon animals. Which only angers him more, as he is the great brunt in the Thunder Dragon Sandaryu, and he will not be made a fool of by a pseudo-demon who lowers himself to working with filthy humans. As he releases another mighty roar and prepares to kill and eat all the humans nearing him. As Hiruzen leads his forces against the great dragon, he can't help but to think to himself, if only Jiraiya and Tsunade were here, then we might actually have a decent chance of beating the beast. Jiraiya's collaborations with his toads, as well as the acid of Tsunade's slugs, would cause serious damage to it and may even cause it to retreat. The last Jiraiya is off spying on dark guilds and other countries, and Tsunade is Ishval knows where, probably some casino gambling her family's fortune away. He steals his nerves, choosing not to dwell on what-ifs, as he notices the dragon open its maw and blue-colored lightning start gathering in its mouth, and he realizes what it's doing as he quickly yells out breath attack. Scatter. And he gives the order not a second too soon. As soon as the attack team scatters to the winds, Brunton releases his Thunder Dragon's Roar Sandaryu no Hoko. launching a wide, enormous beam of blue lightning, which disintegrates everything in its path, even destroying part of the mountain behind the town where the faces of all Konoha's leaders are carved. Looking at the destruction caused by that one attack, all the mages are astonished and shocked, however Hiruzen Sarutobi has an entirely different reaction. Upon seeing the damage done to his home, the place he grew up, where he learned to be a mage at the feet of Hashirama Senju, the man known as the god of wizards, and his brother Tabarama Senju, the old village leader, is enraged. Suddenly all the mages in the area are brought to their knees by the sheer force of the professor's magical power. The old man rushes Bronten with a speed a man of his age should not possess, his magical aura coming off his body in waves of green, his power enough to even gain the attention of the dragon. Before he raises the adamantine staff high into the air, elongating and slightly enlarging it, and brings it straight down on Bronten's scaled head with a resounding crack. The diamond-hard weapon has enough power and force to crack the scales on the head, drawing blood, as well as knocking the great beast flat to the ground on his face. Bronten lets out a slight groan of pain, not believing that the old human actually managed to bring him down and draw blood. However, that quickly turns to rage as he stands back to his full height. Filthy human. How dare you draw the blood of the great Bronten? I'm going to eat you whole and then destroy your precious town. Hiruzen doesn't respond to this verbally, instead he makes a seal with his left hand, causing a brown magic seal to appear on the ground between him and Bronten. Earth magic. Earth flow river Tsuchi Meiho. Doryu Taiga, as the ground turns to a river of mud and slides under the dragon's feet, causing him to lose his footing. Sarutobi changes the seal his hand is in, and another brown magic seal appears in front of the old man as the mud raises up and takes the shape of a dragon's head. Earth magic. Earth dragon bullet Tsuchi Meiho. Doryuden, as the mud dragon opens its maw and fires off large hard spheres of mud. Before they reach Bronten, the old man changes his hand seal again and a red magic circle appears as he takes a breath and breaths out a red hot flame fire magic. Fire dragon bullet high. No Mahu. Karyudan, lighting the mud bullets on fire and turning them to bullets of magma as the old man finishes off saying collaboration magic. Lava dragon bullets Corporation Meiho. Yuganidan, the projectiles of liquid hot rock hit Bronten along his left side, the heat such that it manages to melt many of his scales and cause superficial burns on the skin underneath. However, the dragon's healing factor quickly takes care of the problem and scales fix themselves as he turns and swipes at Sarutobi with his right hand. The old man manages to get out of the way, however his left side is nicked by part of one of the dragon's claws. Hiruzen yelps in pain when he lands, quickly grabbing his side. This causes Enma's eye and mouth to appear on the staff. Hiruzen, are you injured? The old man nods his head in answer. How bad is it? Sarutobi takes his hand from his side and looks down to see it completely covered in blood and winces. It looks like a pretty bad, old friend. But I can still fight. His attention is quickly brought back to the problem at hand as the other mages, bolstered by his success, had begun attacking the great beast. However, no matter what spells they use, they can't harm Bronten. For their troubles they're being swatted around and crushed like bugs by the dragon. He prepares to re-enter the fight, calling up his magic again. However, before he can do anything he sees a flash of yellow and hears a shout of energy make. Big Bol Enerugi Maiku. Adama Rasengan, as a large ball of swirling blue magic energy crashes into Bronten's chest, sending him skidding back 30 feet and leaving a swirl-like bruise on his chest. That's when he sees the forms of Manado Dreyer and Kushina Uzumaki Dreyer standing right in front of him, and in Kushina's arms is their 1-year-old son. The blonde-haired man turns to the elder mage with a serious look on his face, which reminds him of his father, before he's addressed by the younger man. Sarutobi-sama leaves this to us. We have only one request from you, take our son to safety. We've contacted my father and he will meet you in the nearest town in Fiori to here. He is then handed the blonde-haired baby by Kushina. The old man is shocked by these actions, but quickly gets his wits back and tries to hand the child back to the redhead. You cannot be serious, Manado, Kushina. Please take Naruto back and the three of you get to safety. I'm old and have lived a long and fruitful life, besides I'm going to die anyway, my injury is mortal. Take Naruto and go to Fairy Tail, I will hold back the beast with what strength I have left. Kushina shakes her head at this as she places her hand on the old man's left side and it glows green as he feels his wounds stitched together slightly before the light fades away. That's all I can do to help you, old man. I was never really good at healing and only picked up a few things from Mother Purusuka. Any strenuous movement will cause it to open again. We need you to take Naruto and go, because if we run away now, when the people we've grown close to over the last 3 years need us most, then we would never be able to show our faces to Fairy Tail or call ourselves wizard saints. Hiruzen is taken aback by the passion he sees in Kushina's eyes at that statement as he unconsciously holds Naruto tightly to himself. A loud roar brings all their attention back to the dragon as Manado gives his wife a look and instantly she knows what he's saying without words. She steps forward and extends her right hand as a glowing golden seal appears beneath Bronten as she intones chain magic. Holy chains Rensameho. Hori-chen, as multiple golden chains erupt from the seal and wrap around the dragon before pulling tight and forcing him to the ground. Manado turns to the old man and his son as he rubs the child's cheek with his finger and then places a kiss down upon the babe's head. I hope that someday you can forgive us for not being there for you, Naruto. I have no doubt that your grandfather will raise you to the best of his abilities and that you will grow up strong. You're going to be compared to your mother and I a lot as you grow as a mage, but don't ever let that bring you down. Use it as motivation to become stronger and to prove that you are not the son of Manado Dreyer and Kushina Uzumaki Dreyer, but that you are Naruto Uzumaki Dreyer and you are your own man, as that is what I did to step out of the shadow of my own father. Sarutobi-sama, please take good care of my boy, make sure he arrives safely to my father's hands. The old man nods at this as the red head comes back over and the blonde uses Hiraishin to flash in front of Bronten and summons a dull green magic seal, sending out a blast of wind magic which cuts into the beast's face as it continues to try to break the chains. Kushina is similar to her husband as she moves aside the hair on Naruto's forehead, but she kisses his whiskered cheeks and smiles down at him with only the affection a mother could have. My precious little Neri-chan. You'll never know just how much your father and I love you and you may hate us for a time, but when you have children you'll understand our decision. All I want you to do is to eat right, grow tall like your daddy, make sure you study your magic real good and train as hard as you can. When you're old enough, find a girl like your mommy, fall in love and have lots of children. Above all else, live your life to the fullest every day and always follow your ideas of wrong and right, no matter what anyone may say. We love you, Naruto. She gives him one final kiss, then nods to Sarutobi to let him know to take him away now. The old man looks sadly at the young mother, but does as asked. However, before he leaves he has one more thing to say to Kushina. It has been an honor and a privilege to have you and Manado in Konoha and to get to know you both. I promise you that I will do my best to make sure Naruto gets to Maki. But do this old man one favor. Try to come out of this confrontation alive. I do not want Naruto to be an orphan and I do not wish Maki to feel the loss of a son and daughter. Farewell, and may Ishval guide your hands. But that he runs off with the youngest Dreyer in his arms, heading for the nearest town to the border in Fiori. Kushina turns back to the dragon as her magic skyrockets and starts coming off her in waves of dark red and her hair floats in the air becoming like 9 red tails. A red magic circle appears as she calls out Blade's magic. Ascalon Yeba, Meho. Asukarin, as she summons the legendary dragon-slaying blade Ascalon, which, as soon as she takes it in her hand glows with magic as she rushes Bronten. The battle would rage on for many hours, with the 2 young wizard saints scoring many wounds upon the thunder dragon, however Bronten would also get wounds on the 2 humans. In the end Manado and Kushina would finally figure out a way to end the dragon and keep their lives, though it would take most of the magic they had left. Together the husband and wife team used a spell called Seal Magic. Self-destruction SPLL Shirumeho. Juritsu no Koimahaugen and placed it upon Bronten. The self-destruction seal is one that uses the magic of who or what it is applied to fuel itself and destroys that person or object and an area around it completely. The seal worked and Bronten the Thunder Dragon was killed and everything in a 10-mile radius was destroyed, including the outer edge of Konoha. Manado, using the last of his magic, managed to use Hiraishin to take Kushina and himself to safety, concentrating on the market he had left in his mother's treehouse in the forests of Magnolia Town. It was a shock to Perusuka to see the telltale yellow flash of her only child's technique, but even more so to see her son and daughter-in-law appear unconscious and heavily injured. Perusuka quickly went to work to save their lives, and by the grace of the gods of magic, she managed to do it. However, though she patched up her son and his wife, they slipped into coma and she quickly called Makarov to come to her home. However, she was told by the guild's ace and Manado's best friend Gildert's Clive that the old master had gone to get their grandson, so she told the man to inform Makarov to come to her house as soon as he returned. However, for Makarov Dreyer, he would believe his son and daughter-in-law dead and would feel the loss much more deeply, as in his mind, he not only would lose his youngest son and daughter-in-law, but also his grandson. Makarov would arrive in the little Fiori village nearest to the border with Bosco, within hours of being alerted by his son of his plans. He would wait for over 2 days for Hiruzen to arrive with his youngest grandson, but the man would never arrive. So the 5th strongest wizard saint would go to look for his old friend, hoping that he only got held up by his old age and not something untoward. He would find the man a day later, 150 miles outside of Konoha, and around 5 miles from the village they were to meet. However, he would find him dead, with the bodies of many cultists laying around him. Taking in the scene, he can already tell what happened. During the trip to bring Naruto to Makarov, Sarutobi was stopped by the cultists, who had most likely felt the great magical power within Naruto and wanted the child. The man obviously refused, and a fight broke out. Hiruzen fought with all his might. Even though he was holding on to Naruto, he managed to take out a great number of them. His downfall came when his earlier wound from fighting Bronten that was partially healed by Kushina had reopened and he started to bleed heavily. The cultists had started to overwhelm him, however before they could kill him and take the child, a third party had arrived and with powerful magic, killed all the cultists. Makarov came to the conclusion that Hiruzen must have felt goodness in the third party and given his grandson to the person, and that man or woman had then left with the 1-year-old to God's nowhere. Falling to his knees, the Titan of Fairy Tail wept for the loss of yet another precious person, his friend Hiruzen Sarutobi, and wept for his missing grandson. However, he quickly pulled himself together, realizing that there was hope that Naruto was still alive and that someday he would come to Fairy Tail and return to the only family he had left. After that, he destroyed the bodies of the cultists with fire magic and then gave his old friend a proper burial with help from his Titan magic. Makarov then turned and headed for home, back to Magnolia Town and back to Fairy Tail, with thoughts of finding and informing Tsunade and Jiraiya that their teacher, their surrogate father figure, was dead. However, what Makarov could never imagine is that the third party who saved Sarutobi and took Naruto away was no mere mortal wizard. No, the person who took the youngest Dreyer was a god, nor could he imagine that he would find his son and daughter-in-law alive, but in comas that they would not awaken from for 10 years. Mountains of Fiori, October 14, X 764. In one of the mountain ranges of Fiori, the one nearest to Clover town, at the highest peak, we find a single wooden house, which seems to be built into the mountainside. Inside the house can be seen only 2 occupants. The first is a man. He is tall, standing at nearly 6'8" and weighing 300 pounds, his body covered in large muscles. He has short, messy gray hair, with the fringes colored white, dark blue, and dark yellow. His eyes are orange. He is dressed in a loose tunic-like top that has the kanji for storm god on the back, dark pants, and boots. The second occupant is easily recognizable by its little head of blonde hair as Naruto Uzumaki Dreyer. This man is Zarok the storm god. Zarok looks down at the baby in his arms and thinks about how he came to have the little one. It was a normal day for the storm god. He was minding his own business, having some fun making storms in Bosco, when he felt a spike in magical energy, one large enough that it caught his attention, and so being naturally curious, he decided to check out the source. When he reached the source of the magic he found that it had come from an elderly man, probably in his 60s. However, what really got his attention were all the men in purple attacking the old guy, whom he knew to be cultists of the mad wizard Zareth. While he attempted to protect a child, he had to give the old man credit for being able to take on so many enemies at once. However, he became enraged when he saw that the man was bleeding heavily from his side and the other men were trying to get at the child. Deciding he had seen enough, Zarok had released his magical power, which froze everyone in the clearing in their tracks and stepped out of the shadows. He didn't say a word, he only proceeded to swiftly kill the cultists, using his mastery of the elements of the storm, those being wind, water, and lightning. After he finished the last cultist, he spoke with the old man and learned his name was Hiruzen Sarutobi and that the child's name was Naruto Dreyer. Sarutobi told him that he was from the town of Konoha, which had recently come under attack by the dragon Bronten, whom Zarok knew, as he'd kicked the lizard's ass a few times in the past. He said that the boy's parents sacrificed themselves to stop the beast and tasked him with getting their son to his grandfather, and that's what he was on his way to do when the cultist attacked him for Naruto. Zarok proceeded to feel out for the child's magical container, and what he felt when he did blew him away, for the child had a great deal of magical power that would no doubt increase as he got older and would make him one of the most powerful wizards to live. So he quickly made a decision. He told the man that he would like to take the boy with him to his home and train him and teach him God Slayer Magic Metsujin Meiho. When the man voiced objections to this, he waylaid his fears by telling him that after the boy's 13th birthday, he would send him straight to his grandfather. All Sarutobi had to do is tell him who that was and where he was located. The old wizard, knowing from experience how powerful a god slayer could be, due to his teacher Hashirama Senju having been one for the element of wood, agreed to the request. Being informed that the boy's grandfather was named Makarov Dreyer and that he was the guild master of the Fairy Tail Guild in Magnolia Town, Zarok took baby Naruto from Sarutobi. Before he left, he made sure the man was comfortable for his final hours in this world, and then using his power over wind, he flew back towards his home with the babe tucked in his arms. Now he looks down at the sleeping child and can't help but to wonder how the next 12 to 13 years are going to go. However, he's sure that his new adopted son student will blast through all his expectations and be the first ever to learn and master all 3 elements of the storm, and then storm god slayer Magic Arashi, no Metsujin Meiho itself. So, as he lays the child in his crib then goes into a meditative trance, he looks forward to the future with a smile on his face. It's been nearly 7 years since that fateful day when the town of Konoha was attacked by the Thunder Dragon Bronton, and many brave mages gave their lives to fight him. 7 years since Manado and Kushina Uzumaki defeated him with a powerful seal and managed to escape with their lives, but slip into coma. 7 years since Zarok the Storm God took young Naruto Uzumaki who prefers to just go by Naruto in, and adopted him as his son. Naruto is now almost 8 years old and is tall for his age, standing at 4'5" and weighing 60 pounds. Naruto is almost a spitting image of his father, with spiky blonde hair minus the jaw-length bangs and sparkling blue eyes, but with his mother's eye shape and slightly tanned skin tone. Also unlike his father, he has 3 whisker-like birthmarks on both his cheeks. Also unlike his father, he's slightly stocky, an effect of the training Zarok has put him through, for, as the man says, a storm is both fast and powerful. Naruto's life with Zarok has been good thus far. When he turned 2, the god began to teach him how to read and write, something he picked up pretty quickly, proving to be nearly as smart as his birth father. At 4 he began to teach the boy about the history of the world and of magic, also that was the year he began Naruto's physical training. At 5 he began the boy's magical training, and using a special item only available to gods, had his magical affinities tested, and found he had high affinities to Light and Ing Kaminari K Kakusha Meiho, Windk's Meiho, Watr Mizuke Kakusha Meiho, and Seal Shiru Meiho magics. As well as low affinities to Light Hikari no Mahu, Run Irin Meiho, Chain Rensa Meiho, and Requip Magics Kanso Meiho. This discovery filled the god with joy, as it meant that the boy would take not only all the individual elements of the storm, but also to his storm god slayer Magic Arashi, no Metsujin Meiho. He started off his magical training by teaching him lightning goddess Layer Kaminari, no Metsujin Meiho, wind goddess Layer Fujin no Metsujin Meiho, and water goddess Layer Sujin no Metsujin Meiho magics. However, when he started his training with the first, he told Naruto that his individual god slayer Magics Metsujin Meiho would never be as powerful as god slayers who specialize in only those elements, but would still be stronger than dragon slayers of those elements. First he taught Naruto lightning god slayer magic, which the little blonde picked up quite quickly and easily, learning and getting down most of the spells by the time he turned 6. At 6 is when he started to learn wind god slayer magic. This one was a bit harder to learn, as wind and lightning are opposing elements, however he picked it up and learned nearly all the spells by his 7th birthday. At 7 is when his training in water god slayer magic began, and is that training that is still going on now. For this training they moved from their mountain peak home to a valley nearby where there was a river, so that the boy could practice his new spells without flooding their home. Naruto can be seen in his fighting stance. He is wearing a loose dark orange shirt, black shorts, and combat boots. Taking deep breaths he prepares to go through all the water god slayer spells that he's learned thus far, with Zarok acting as his sparring partner. The little blonde calls up his magic and suddenly explodes into action, rushing at his teacher father with the speed of a boy twice his age. He cocks his fist back as a dark blue magic circle appears in front of him. He then brings his fist forward with a call of water god's ocean fist Sujin no Ocean Tekken, as a large fist of black water come out of the seal and head straight for Zarok. However, the god is prepared for this as he cocks his fist back and then brings it forward and directly hits the fist of water, dispersing it. When he looks forward for Naruto, the boy is missing, however he quickly senses him above him as the boy is coming down at him with his right foot encased in black water. The boy goes for a falling axe kick while intoning water god's wave kick Sujin no Nami Kiku as he brings his water encased foot down upon the god's left forearm. However, the man doesn't even budge an inch and instead grabs him by that foot and throws him away. Naruto lands on his feet before he turns and summons a magic seal to his hand, and in an instant water appears forming into a black liquid trident as he rushes the god again, naming his newest attack water god's trident Sujin no Toridento as he attempts to stab the large man with it. However, Zarok dodges all his strikes and even kicks him in the stomach, sending him flying back into the river, but before he hits the river, he tosses the trident at the god, who just sidesteps it. The blonde quickly surfaces from the water of the river, hops out, and decides to finish the spar with his last spell, the first god slayer spell he's learned for each element. He takes a deep breath, drawing in all water in the area to his mouth, before a large magic seal appears in front of him, and he thunders out water god's bellow Sujin no Dogo as he releases a massive amount of black water in the form of a crushing wave, which washes away all in its path, felling trees and crushing rocks. However, as it reaches Zarok, the man opens his mouth and swallows the entire wave. The god pats his belly as he nods his head in approval. He looks at Naruto to find the blonde flat on his back, sweat pouring down his body, and breathing heavy, exhausted magically. He walks up to the boy to hear him complaining about slave-driving gods, and laughs, ha 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 ha. Well Naruto, you've done well thus far, though you've only learned 4 water god slayer spells, you've trained them to an acceptable level. Next week I'll start you on the next few spells. In the meantime continue training, as you have been, and don't think I haven't noticed you practicing with irregular versions of the elements, keep up the good work. As he puts out his hand for the boy to take, the blonde smiles at the god for his praise, and takes the pro-offered hand, thanks Xerac-2-sen. I do my best so when I finally leave you I'll be strong enough to handle anything. But I've been meaning to ask you if you have any books on seal and rune magic. Xerac cocks his head at this, as he places his hand to his chin in thought. He knows he has books on many types of magic, because when you live for eternity, there's not much to do besides collect knowledge, but he tries to recall if he has books on those 2 magics. After a few moments to sort through his memories he smiles, and gives his adopted son an answer. Yeah, I have a lot of books on seal and rune magics, in fact the books I have were written by the wizards who created those 2 magics. When we return to the peak I'll give it to you, and you can learn those magics on your own time. Now how about you go get cleaned up and changed, and then we'll eat lunch and do your history lessons. I think you're going to like today's lesson, as it's on guilds. The blonde whoops in joy at this news and quickly runs off to wash up, causing the god to laugh at his exuberance. He enters the cave they're currently staying in and makes them a nutritious lunch. A few minutes later the blonde walks in, now wearing a red shirt with a black lightning bolt on the front, dark wave pattern on the hem, and a tornado on the back, with dark pants and his usual boots. After lunch, Xerac sits the boy down and begins to tell him the history of all the guilds in Fiori. However, when he gets to Fairy Tail he turns slightly somber, and when asked what is the matter by Naruto, the god chooses to finally tell him the truth. He tells him that the current master of Fairy Tail is his grandfather, and that his parents had originally wanted him to be raised by the man, however he took him in when the man transporting him was attacked. At first the child was upset at this, yelling about how he'd effectively kidnapped him from his family. But after realizing that God had raised him with love and compassion, and had even taught him a powerful form of magic, he settled down and said it was okay. Then he asked about his parents and grandfather, and the man told him that his grandfather's name is Makarov Dreyer and is the source of his last name and is considered the 5th strongest member of the 10 wizard saints. He tells him that what he knew of Makarov was that he was called the Titan of Fairy Tail and is the 3rd master of the guild. He said that from what information he gathered on the boy's parents they too were wizard saints and were named Manado Dreyer, the youngest son of Makarov, and Kushina Uzumaki Dreyer, and that they had both been masters of seal magic. But says his father was a master of lightning and wind magics, while his mother was a master of chain magic Rensa Meho and blades magic Aba Meho. Naruto made a vow that day. He vowed that he would master all his god slayer magics, as well as becoming at least an expert in seal and rune magics by the time he leaves Xerac. He also decided that day to take up swordsmanship in honor of his mother. For the next year, he worked his butt off to learn all the water god slayer magic and did it. He also made great headway with the regular elemental spells and learned requip magic so that he could summon and put away his wooden training sword whenever he wanted. Mountains of Fiori near Clover Town, August 21st, X 772. Naruto age 8 nearing 9. Naruto, now 8, and Xerac arrive back at their home at the peak of the mountain. Naruto is tired and drenched in water and sweat, his clothes are torn and singed, and his hair is messier than usual. The reason for this is because of the final test that he just underwent for his individual god slayer magics. He had to prove that he had mastered all the techniques to a good enough level for the storm god, and he passed with flying colors, though he's a little worse for wear from it. Now he's heading for his room, which he has missed for the last year and a half, to get a shower and change into some pajamas. All he wants to do is eat dinner and then hit the sack. However, he feels Xerac's hand on his shoulder and turns to the man with a questioning look. The god smiles at the blonde. You did well today, Naruto. I'm proud of the progress you've made in the last almost 4 years. I'll get you those books I promised you on seal and rune magic, and you can get started on reading and learning them tomorrow. This next week is free. But next week you need to steal your resolve, because that is when we begin your Storm God Slayer Magic Arashi no Metsujin Meiho training. If you can learn it, you will be the first ever Storm God Slayer in recorded history. I have faith in you, kid. With that, he walks off towards his library, leaving a shocked yet excited Naruto in his wake. True to his word, as soon as the boy came out of his bathroom, clean and dressed in his PJs, he found the 2 books on his bedside table. So taking the book on seal magic, he sat on his bed and began to read, and that is how Xerac found him when he came to tell him dinner was ready. After eating a hearty meal of rice, BBQ beef, and vegetables, Naruto returned to his room and started reading the rune magic book, and that's how he fell asleep. For the whole week the blonde would do his physical training in the morning and spend the afternoon delving into seal and rune magic, and at night he would meditate and prepare his mind for the rigors of the training to come. Within the week Naruto could say he was a novice in the two new magics he'd been studying, and he was ready to learn Storm God Slayer magic. August 28 of X 772 finds the blonde God Slayer standing in the training grounds within the mountain peak. If you look closely at him, you can see his body vibrating with excitement. Across from him stands his adopted father and teacher, the storm god Zarok. Zarok looks at the boy with slight pride, thinking of how strong he already is, and knowing how much stronger he's about to become, he clears his throat to get Naruto's attention. Alright Naruto, today begins your training in my magic, Storm God Slayer magic. Now in order to properly use Storm God Slayer magic, you'll need to combine the three other God Slayer magics together. The storm is the unmatched speed of lightning, the deadly force of wind, and the crushing power of water all rolled into a single destructive force. Naruto stares at Zarok in awe at the god's words, before the gray-haired man turns around showing his back, and continues, now the first spell you're going to learn is the first spell you learned for each of the individual elements, that being the storm god's bellow. Now watch carefully. Zarok calls up his magic energy, the force of it enough to crack the ground and bring the blonde to his knees. The god takes a deep breath, gathering lightning, air, and water to his mouth as a large gray magic seal appears in front of him, and he intends Storm God's Bellow Rashi no Dogo as he releases an enormous whirling vortex of black water and wind with black lightning in the center. The attack hits a boulder and completely destroys it and continues on through the mountain wall behind it, punching a huge hole in the mountain as it exits to the outside and continues on, punching through the next peak over before finally dying out. Naruto stares in complete awe of the power of just a single Storm God Slayer spell. The blonde can't help but to think of how badass he's going to be when he gets that spell and every other Storm God Slayer magic spell down. Meanwhile Zarok looks at the damage he caused and chuckles while scratching the back of his head. Oops, I think I put a little too much power behind that one. It was only supposed to obliterate the boulder. Oh well, what do I care, I'm a freaking god, that will just make the mortals respect my power more. Naruto sweat drops at his adoptive father's antics, however he quickly shakes that off and begins to try to use the storm god's bellow, while Zarok observes. The whole day the blonde tries and tries but has no success, and God tells him not to be discouraged as it will take time to get the perfect balance between the three elements. That is how Naruto's training in Storm God Slayer magic went for the rest of X 772. On his 9th birthday he received a gift of a magic pen to use when writing his seal and rune magics. Finally near the end of that year, on December 25, X 772 the blonde finally accomplished what he'd worked months for. Standing in the training ground, he takes a huge breath, drawing in lightning, water, and wind. A gray magic seal appears in front of him as he yells out Storm God's Bellow and releases a vortex of black wind and water. However, his black lightning isn't inside the vortex, it's circling around the outside of it. Naruto's bellow is 1/3 the size of Zarok's, but when it hits the target boulder it has enough power to grind it to dust. The blonde jumps up and whoops in joy at finally managing to do his first Storm God Slayer spell. Zarok looks on in approval and with great pride, for he now knows he was right, that the little blonde will be great and has the potential to master his magic. The gray-haired god claps his hands, very good Naruto, very good indeed. The bellow is one of the hardest spells to learn, it's why I've always had you learn it first when starting each element. The physical spells will be a bit easier, but still very hard, and the God Slayer secret ARTS Metsujinogi will be the hardest to learn. Naruto nods his head at this, knowing that he's right, as he continues, but with determination and heart, you will master everything I've got left to teach you. Also starting this coming year I'm going to allow you to start going into Clover Town, so that you can get used to human interaction and maybe find some friends your age. Even though I know it's unhealthy for you to constantly be up here in the mountains with me. The blonde nods in agreement to this and is secretly excited to get the chance to meet and befriend other children his age. That night after training all day and only slightly increasing the power of his new bellow, the two have a dinner of fish, rice, and vegetables before heading to bed. The East Forest of Magnolia Town, Perusuka's treehouse. May 12, X 773. We find the elderly pink-haired healer going about her daily routine of sweeping up her house. For the past 9 years she has had 2 long-term patients, her son Manado Dreyer and his wife Kushina Uzumaki Dreyer, and for all the time she's never been able to figure out why they slipped into the comas they have been in all this time. Over the last 9 years her former teammate and lover, father to Manado, Makarov has come to visit the two once a week to check on their condition, and each time she's told him the same thing, that there has been no change. 9 years ago, when Fairy Tail's third master had returned from retrieving their grandson Naruto, empty-handed, she had been angry and asked him where the babe was. When he told her that Hiruzen had died protecting Naruto and given him to someone who had helped them, she beat him over the head and called him an old fool before tossing him out of her house. It had taken her an entire week to cool down and permit the old man back into her abode. After having a conversation about it, she realized that all she could do was hope that Naruto grew up well cared for and happy, and that eventually he'd make his way to Fairy Tail or one of the other guilds. They then discussed what to do about Manado and Kushina, and Makarov said that they would leave their status a mystery, but act as if they had perished at Konoha. So it came to be that the only people who knew the truth about the two now former wizard saints were herself, Makarov, and Gilderts, the last one because he was Manado's best friend and the ace of the guild. They decided to keep it secret from even Ivan, as Makarov had noticed a certain glee in the man's eyes when he told him his little brother and sister-in-law were dead. So for the last 9 years she has been caring for her baby boy similarly to the way she did when he was very little, as well as her daughter-in-law, seeing to their cleanliness, feeding them to keep their strength up, and making sure that their bladders and bowels were properly emptied every day, the last via a spell. Now in all that time neither one has made a sound or even a twitch, however today she's going to be in for a shock. As per Yusuke goes about cleaning the room that the two long-term patients are in, suddenly her ears pick up a sound coming from both their beds, a sound that is new, that sound is groaning. She places down her broom and goes over to them to check their vitals. What she finds is that they're improving rapidly, and soon enough she notices the two begin to twitch different parts of their bodies. For Manado it's his right hand fingers, for Kushina her left foot. Within 2 hours of the start of their movements, the two do another remarkable thing, they open their eyes. It's slow at first, and they quickly shut them again to keep out the bright light of the sun, but eventually they fully open their blue and violet eyes respectively and begin to take a look around. The pink-haired woman comes up to her son's bedside and smiles down at him with motherly affection, caressing his cheek. "Welcome back to the world of the living, Manado-chan. We have missed you dearly, my sweet boy." Upon seeing the face of his mother, the blonde smiles back at her and responds, "Hey Ka-chan. I guess my plan worked after all, and I was able to teleport Kushi-chan and myself to your house for treatment." The pink-haired healer nods at this, before taking her hand away from her boy's face and going over to Kushina's bed to scan her over, while the redhead just smiles at her. "Thank you Yusuke Ka-chan for healing Min-kun and but I have to know. How is Naru-chan? How is my baby?" This causes Yusuke to cringe slightly, which isn't missed by either younger mage, however it's Manado who decides to voice the question. "San, what's wrong? Did something happen to Naruto? Where is our son? What is going on with my voice? Why do I sound older?" This causes both women to chuckle at him as the redhead looks at her husband's face and notices that it does seem a bit older than she remembers and wonders why. The pink-haired woman sighs and rubs her temples before deciding to get right down to business. "I'll answer your questions in reverse order. First off, the reason you sound older is because you are older than Manado-chan. The year is X773, you two have been in comas since just after you flashed here on October 13th, X764. This statement leaves the two former wizard saints in complete shock, however what she has to say next will cause their shock to be replaced by something else. "As for where Naru-chan is, I don't know. Makarov went to meet Hiruzen like you asked him to, but the man never showed. When Makarov went to find the man, he found him dead, surrounded by the bodies of several cultists, and Naruto missing. He sent Gilderts out to find the babe as soon as he returned to the guild, but after 2 months of searching Gilderts found nothing, not even a trace of Naruto. This news fills the two with heartbreak, intense sadness, and in the case of Manado great rage. However, before the blonde can express his rage by releasing his magic and to stop Kushina's now forming tears, Yusuke continues. "However, don't despair, there is an upside to this. The old fool said that he sensed the presence of a third party in the area and that third party was the one responsible for the deaths of the cultists. It looked like he or she helped Hiruzen, who was dying from an earlier wound, and in thanks and trusting the person Hiruzen handed Naru-chan to that person, and they are the ones who have him. Kushina however gets angry at that. How is that an upside? Some stranger has had my baby for the last 9 years. He probably doesn't even know who he is, he might have a new name. Hell, the person who raised him may have raised him to be a psychopathic murderer. How is that an upside? Tell me." However, before the pink-haired woman can answer, a voice comes from behind her. "It's an upside because Hiruzen would not have trusted Naruto-chan to someone evil. It is an upside because God's willing the boy will come and join Fairy Tail in the next couple of years, and if not Fairy Tail then another guild that we are friendly with. That is the upside of Kushina-chan, that we will see our youngest Dreyer again." They all turn to see Makarov standing in the doorway, and the man has a look of absolute faith in his eyes that his words are true. He walks into the room, using his Titan Magicga Antomeho to become slightly larger, about 6 tall, as he walks over to his son's bed and wraps him in a strong hug, patting the man's back. "It's so good to have you back, my boy. You have been sorely missed, not just by this old man, but by the entire guild, especially Gilderts. In fact, you missed his wedding and his wife leaving him." The blonde hugs his now larger father back, smiling at the old man. "Thank you too, San, it's good to be back. I can't believe that we've missed so much time and so many events. But can you be certain that my son will find us? Please be honest with me, you owe me that much, old man." The older man nods his head seriously in response, and seeing no lie in his eyes, Manado nods in acceptance before letting the subject drop. Makarov then goes over to Kushina's bed and gives her a gentler hug than his son and a kiss on the forehead. "It is also good to have you back, my daughter. You will be a shining light for all the younger females at the guild. Someone for them to look up to. Welcome back." The Redeed smiles with tears in her eyes as she buries her face in her surrogate father's chest and hugs him tightly. They are all brought back to the here and now as Perusica clears her throat, gaining all their attention. While it's all well and good that they are awake again, there are still many checkups to be made. They will need rehabilitation for using their magic, and when they get that back down, then they will have to retrain up their spells and fighting styles before I even consider giving them the all clear to return to active duty. As she ends this statement with piercing glares to all 3 of the others in the room. Manado and Kushina quickly nod their heads to the woman's words, while Makarov shrinks back to his original size and chuckles. "A slave driver, as always, my dear. You'll never change, Perusica-chan." All he gets for this comment is a whack over the head with a broom and a look from said pink-haired healer that screams leave now or get hurt, so he does the smart thing and hightails it out of there and back to the guild. The blonde and Redeed laugh at the antics of the first's parents and separately think to themselves that some things never change. Then their thoughts turn to the missing 9 years of their lives and realizing that they now have to get used to being 34 years old and the fact that their only child is missing. Lastly, their thoughts turn to the future and both make a silent vow that when they are finally combat ready again, they will leave and search for their Naruto-chan and they won't stop until they find him. This is how the world and Fairy Tail regained 2 former wizard saints. It would take a full year for the 2 to get back into tip-top fighting shape before Perusica would begrudgingly agree to allow them back into active service. When they returned to Fairy Tail, they would be welcomed with open arms by everyone, especially Gilderts, who was glad to have his best friend back. However, one man would not welcome them back, and that man was Ivan, who seethed at the fact that he was lied to about his brother's demise and plotted how to get even. However, the 2 would not stay long, as a week after returning they would set off on their journey to find their son. Clover Town, October 8, X773. Today we find our blonde god slayer doing what he's been doing every day for the last 10 months, walking down the streets of Clover Town. He is making his way to a little shop called Ichiraku Ramen. It is a place he first discovered on his first trip into Clover Town in January. After shopping for new clothes, he was hungry. One of the other shoppers in the clothing store was a girl about 5 years older than himself, around 14 or 15 years old. The girl's name was Ayame Ichiraku, and she said she and her father ran the best ramen restaurant in all of Fiori, so never having had ramen before and being hungry, Naruto followed her to her family's shop, and boy was he glad he did now. The first time he tasted the delicious ramen made by Ayame's father Tucci, he instantly fell in love with the stuff and has been getting multiple bowls of it once every month. Ayame turned out to be Naruto's first ever friend as well. Knowing Ayame has led the blonde to meeting and getting to know other children his age. Among those children he's met and befriended are Shikamaru Nara, who is tall for his age and kind of skinny, also very smart but lazy. Choji Akimichi, who is chubby and average height for a 10-year-old, but he's laid back and can always be found with a bag of chips in his hand. However, he hasn't only made friends with boys, he also has 2 more female friends. First is Ino Yamanaka, who has platinum blonde hair. Naruto would say that she's very pretty for a 10-year-old girl. Ino is your typical girly girl, she's also a gossip queen, her mother owns a flower shop in Clover Town. Second is Sakura Haruno, who is a pink-haired girl, her family owns the clothing shop he bought his clothes in. Sakura is a very intelligent but very shy girl. She used to be very self-conscious about her forehead because she was bullied for it until Naruto saw and sent the bullies packing. Since then, Sakura has started to open up more. Over the months, Naruto has hung out with and gotten to know his friends very well. He's found out that Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji all come from mage families and are mages in training themselves, while Sakura, like her parents, is a regular civilian. He told them that he was a mage as well, specializing in lightning, wind, and water magic. The only problem is that none of his friends know who he really is. The reason for this is because the first time he left to come to Clover Town, Xerox told him to use transformation magic to change his hair and eye color, as well as cover up his whisker marks. When asked why, the god merely said that there were people in Clover Town who would link him to his biological father and report seeing him to his grandfather, and they don't want that yet. The blonde agreed and did as told, changing his hair color to black and his eyes to brown, while getting rid of his whisker marks. He even went so far as to concoct a fake name for himself, Arashi Namikaze. So that is how his friends and their parents know him, as Arashi Namikaze. He feels really bad about lying to them, but until his training with Xerox is complete, he can't have his grandfather find him and take him to Fairy Tale. He is drawn from his thoughts. As he finally reaches Ichiraku Ramen, he enters the shop with a smile on his face. Am Nichan, Tuchi Ajisan. Your favorite customer has arrived. The ramen chef and his daughter smile brightly at the almost 10-year-old's exuberance as he takes his usual seat at the counter and the brown-haired 15-year-old comes over to him. Hello Arashi-kun, how's Mayatoto today? The currently black-haired boy smiles at her brightly. I'm alright Am Ni, though I'm a little sore. Zar-Tu-san is a slave driver when it comes to training. Anyway I'll take my usual. The brown-haired teen giggles at the boy's antics but nods her head. Alright then. Tusan 5 bowls of miso ramen to start. Her father turns to her slightly in response coming right up. A few minutes later Am places the first bowl in front of the boy and he digs in. Bowl after bowl of delicious noodles are placed before him and he devours them all. In the end he has a stack of bowls next to him numbering 15 as he releases a large belch and pats his belly. Excuse me. Ah that hit the spot, great ramen, as always Ajisan. He places the jewels for the meal down on the counter, however before he can hop down and go to walk out, Am hands the money back to him. No, you're not paying today. The food is on the house this time, Arashi Atoto. The boy is shocked by this, but smiles gratefully, thank you. Well I'll see you later Am Ni, I'm going to go hang out with the guys. With that he walks out, not seeing the brown-haired teen shake her head and laugh at her little brother's actions. For the rest of the day he hangs out with Shikamaru, Choji, Ino and Sakura, playing chess with Shikamaru and actually giving him a challenge. He spars with Choji to give him help in using his family's magic. He then lets Sakura and Ino drag him around town to a bunch of stores before heading to the Yamanaka flower shop and using his water magic to water all the flowers and other assorted plants. However throughout the day he receives gifts from his friends and their parents, much to his surprise. From Shikamaru and his parents he gets different strategy games. From Choji and his parents, he receives recipes for food that is high in protein and good for helping to quickly replenish magic energy. From Ino and Sakura he actually receives 2 gifts. The first is a kiss on the cheek from each of them. The second gift from Ino is a book on meditation techniques and a bonsai tree from Mrs. Yamanaka. The second gift from Sakura and her parents is an item that will forever be special to him. They give him a grey coat with black fur around the collar, which goes down to the back of his knees. The coat has the symbols for the 3 elements he uses on the back, those being a lightning bolt, a wave, and 3 interconnecting swirls representing wind, and they are in a triangle formation. When he finally asks Mibuyuki Haruno why everyone has given him these gifts, the answer he gets is unexpected. Everyone has given you all these gifts because your birthday is in 2 days, and we know that you won't be around for us to celebrate it with you. So we all got together and decided to give you your gifts early, and we hope that you enjoy all of them. Hopefully next year we'll be able to throw you a big birthday party Arashi-kun to let you know how special you are to not only our children, but to us as well. The 10-year-old is stunned speechless at this and can only nod his head and smile in gratitude. Soon enough he leaves Clover Town and heads back to the peak where he shows off all his gifts to Xerox, especially his new coat. The god smiles at seeing how happy the blonde is and tells him it's a great coat but that he may want to keep it in his re-equip space when they train. 2 days later Naruto turns 10 and Xerox gives him his gift. He begins his training in the God Slayer, secret arts of lightning, water and wind. The next nearly 4 years would be difficult on the blonde, but he would persevere and learn every single Storm God Slayer spell and God Slayer secret art spell that Xerox had to teach. He would also come very far in seal and rune magic, becoming an adept by his 13th birthday. In all that time however it would be his friendships with those in Clover Town that would see him through all his harsh training, and when the day came for Naruto Uzumaki Dreyer to make his reappearance to the world, Earthland wouldn't know what hit them. Thanks for watching my video, leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time, till then sayonara.